Good morning, folks. I'm Renegade. This is my XJ600. And this is something that really annoys me about motorcycles. Imagine, if you will, that it's dark out, and you pull over, or you stop somewhere, you're in a parking lot maybe, and you're not under a street light, and you get something out of your glove box. So you take your seat off, and it's dark in here. You can't see anything. Why don't motorcycles come with a light there? Now, I've seen people do it with saddlebags, put a light inside with a little switch. But there's such a better and easier way. And I think all motorcycles should have this. Motorcycle companies, Yamaha, Kawasaki, Honda, Suzuki, Triumph, you name it, they should all do this. So today, we're going to take care of this issue. And it's going to require very little work. Very simple. And you should think about doing this with your bike. So my goal now is to put a light in this box so that all this is lit up. Yeah, I carry a flashlight, but you don't want to have to use a flashlight to find a flashlight. So I'm going to use a switch, which I'm going to mount on this bracket somewhere, and an LED up in here. Take note, if you're going to do this, to pay attention to where everything else is. You know, there's this great hole right here, which is just the perfect size. But there's also a peg on the seat, which goes in there so you don't rattle around. Oh well. But all you need to do for this is find a place to mount this switch somewhere flat, that when the seat goes on it, when you put your seat on, it's going to press it down to cancel everything. I'm going to figure out where best to mount this and then mark it for holes. So I'm lucky enough to have these two nice little tabs right here that my grab bars mount onto. You can see them right here. I was going to go off of this, but the more I look at it, I got a cable here, and that's awfully tight. I don't want to mess with my seat release. So I'm going to use these. More specifically, I'm going to use this one because the wires can be tucked in here with all the other wires, and I don't have to worry about a mess. Obviously, every bike will be different. Just because I have these doesn't mean that you do. Basically, for this, all you need is any spot that you can mount it onto, any flat spot where your seat is going to make contact. So if you've got a sport bike with the back seat that's separate, that unlocks, you can find a spot under that. Maybe you'll be sitting like this and you put your seat on and bink. Either way, it'll work. But this is where I'm going to mount it. And if you've got an XJ600 or one of the XJ series that has the same frame tail or tail frame, these will work great. I'm going to drill this hole real fast. I had to take the fairing off so I could drill these holes without destroying the fairing. But the holes are drilled out. One obviously for the switch and one for the mounting bolt for the switch. Now I can also run my wires properly. I've got this pigtail right here, which is supposed to be connected to the battery. It runs all the way up to the front of my bike and it allows me to run direct power. Either I can hook up my phone mount, it's got a little charger in it, or connect pigtail to it and have charging. It goes right here. I gotta replace the one connector. That's gonna happen too, but that's a side note. So all I have to do is tap into this and that'll be my positive. Real easy. So right now, I'm waiting on the soldering iron to warm up. While I wait for the soldering iron to warm up, I'm actually setting up and planning out all my wiring. Yeah, I'm doing it on the ground, but I don't have a lot of space here. I'm adding a pigtail to my direct power line that I have. So I don't have to worry about a fuse, and I don't have to worry about it only coming on when the ignition is on, since I need my key to take my seat off, which is the whole purpose here. I'm adding this little connector so I can disconnect it if I need to. This way, if I'm working on the bike like this, the light isn't on all the time. Alright, I know what you're thinking. Renegade, you're adding a light to your glove box. Aren't you worried about power draw, draining your battery while you're riding, or while worse, you're just sitting? Alright, hang on. Let me explain. Alright, so I know there are some people that aren't exactly tech savvy or mechanically inclined watching this. Some of you guys might be watching this and be like, oh, yeah, duh, that's what he's gonna use. Okay, fine. But for those who aren't, and, you know, don't worry about it. I wasn't very savvy when I started working on vehicles either. It's all good. It takes time to learn. I get it. This is a ground interrupter switch. This is going to be what actually saves us from having any risk whatsoever of draining our battery. Because you put a switch in your saddlebag or your glove box, storage compartment if you prefer to call it that, you have to remember to turn it off. If you're in a rush, maybe you forget once, and the light stays on, and next thing you know, you've drained out your battery. Bike won't start, you gotta push start it, you gotta jump start it, whatever. I don't want to have to deal with that. So, this is a solution. Ground interrupter switch means that this guy will interrupt the ground. It'll stop the circuit, so we don't have to worry about it being on all the time. Now, what's unique about this, I should say, this is the exact same thing as your car has for your doors, for your courtesy light or your dome light. You know, you can set it up so that when your door's closed, the light's off. You open the door, the light comes on. That's what this is. In fact, this switch is actually from a Volvo 240. I think it's from a 93 240 because it's got the 2 wires. The earlier models just have a 1. You can buy the exact same thing on eBay or Amazon or from AutoZone Advance for like 10, 12 bucks, maybe as much as 15. You can get them cheaper. I saw one that's like this for like $3, but it comes from China, so you gotta wait a while. You know, I'm impatient. As I said, what this does is it actually interrupts the ground. You need a full circuit, power in and power out to ground to create a circuit for something to power on. You interrupt the ground, you interrupt the circuit, and the component that you're using or that you're focusing on doesn't work anymore. If it sounds complicated, don't worry. It's very simple. It's why batteries have a positive and a negative on both. What's great about these is that when the button part is up, underneath this rubber is a button. When the rubber part is up, the circuit's complete. When the button is down, the circuit's interrupted. So, I'm going to put this on the crossbar on my bike, and when the seat is off, when the seat is off, the button is up, the circuit's complete, the light will light. When I put the seat back down, when I put the seat back on, it'll push the button down, and that'll interrupt the circuit. Light won't be on. No light, no battery drain, and I don't have to worry about remembering to push it down. The only catch is going to be that if I'm working on the bike and I have the seat up for a while, I'm going to have to disconnect this little guy. It's not that big of a deal. Another option that you can use, one of these. This is actually what's inside my glove box in my car. It's the exact same thing. The difference with this is that this funky little washer is your ground. So you've got power in, this grounds it, but it's the same thing. Button in, circuit disrupted, button out, circuit complete. Circuit complete, lights on, circuit incomplete, no light. But this is the bulb on the bottom. That's not going to work for my setup. In my car, it'd be sitting like this. So the glove box door closes it, comes off, the light's right there. It's got a little reflector or refractor, whatever, and shines light down in the glove box. If you have a setup on your bike where this will be easier, where you plop your seat down and it's going to close this, and the light is exactly where you want it to be to see everything, go with one of these. Why not? This one's going to require extra wiring in comparison, but this is going to work for my setup because of the light and the switch are going to be in two different spots. But it's simple. I've already gone ahead and soldered in my connections. Soldered on the pigtails for the light itself. Best way to do it, I find anyways, is don't glue anything down, don't bolt anything in place fully until you get all this figured out, because once I figure out how or where I'm going to put the light, I can just run the line to roughly where I want it, which is going to be about here, and then I know where to cut it and strip it and add the pigtail. And even though I'm using solder to do all these connections, I know not everybody knows how to solder. The same thing can be done just using crimp connectors. I've got a whole box of them down here that I'm using and soldering the wires to them so I have the connectors. It is possible to do it that way, so you don't have to do all the soldering stuff, but this is the way I like to do it. It makes me feel a little more secure. But anyway, so power line is hooked up. I already have the terminal on the light side. These two are going to go together. And as I just explained, the ground interrupt switch is going to go here, and this is the ground for the light. Now I just have to run a ground to actually ground the whole thing out. It's easy enough. One thing I cannot stress enough is that when you're working on things, electrical things, always make sure that everything actually works before you go buttoning everything up. You don't want a bad connection somewhere or to plan something that's not going to work. Got my positive roughly connected. And I want to use this ground spot. So I'm already using it for ground for other things. If this works correctly, because I'm not pushing down the button, when I touch this, that light should go on. Bam. Complete circuit. It works. Alright, so I got it all connected. For a test run, I connected this positive cable. It's hooked up, grounded there. Switch is hooked up, bolted in place. Gotta glue the light on, but just to show you guys, I'm pushing the button down right now. If I let go, light. On, off. Seat is gonna go on, boom, off. Simple. Let me get this in place real fast. Alright, everything's bolted up, mounted, routed. I gotta clean up the wires and zip tie them, but I'll do that later. I left this off because I don't want anybody thinking I'm trying to dupe them. Alright? There's no light on right now. No light. Unlock and lift, and there's the light. Look at that. Just like that. Alright. Seat up. Light on. Seat down. Light off. Now, why don't bikes come standard with that? I mean, to me, that is a fantastic feature. You've got the same thing in your glove box in your car. Why can't your storage compartment have a light on your motorcycle? I mean, really, come on. It's pretty simple thinking. Last thing you really want is to get pulled over by a cop. I mean, not that you want to get pulled over by a cop anyways, but you get pulled over. License, registration, insurance. Yeah, sure. Hang on. Let me find my flashlight. Or let me grab my phone so I can... No. Much easier just to lift your seat and bing. Now there's light. Now you can see. Now you can find your paperwork. And you're done. That's it. And it only cost me a couple bucks. And I know for a fact that motorcycle companies could do it for even cheaper. So, I gotta get that tail put back together, but I'll do that in a moment. You will find links for everything I used the switch, and the lights from Super Bright LED in the description. Thank you all for watching. If you like this video, hit the like button. And if you're looking forward to more projects, more ideas I have for this bike, or just find me interesting, go ahead and subscribe. And you can follow me on Twitter. That'll be in the link description. And I'll even